Heading on back down to Kansas.
We gotta kill the other one first. Look, Ned, with any luck, we'll find him by nightfall or in the morning. Then we can shoot him and head on back with the money.
Clint Eastwood plays a legendary killer for hire working one last job in a Western called Unforgiven, one of 5 new summer movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, along with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn in their latest comedy. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. They don't make many Westerns anymore, but when they do, likely as not, Clint Eastwood will be involved. His breakthrough was in the spaghetti Westerns of the mid-'60s, and ever since then, his Western characters have been men of few words and sharp, sudden bursts of violence. And that's the case again this time with a new Western named Unforgiven, directed by Eastwood and starring him here as a bounty hunter who wants to enlist an old sidekick played by Morgan Freeman in a new adventure.
All right, so what these fellas do? Cheated cards? Steal some strays? Spit on a rich fella? What?
No, they cut up a woman.
What?
Yeah, cut up her face, cut her eyes out, cut her fingers off.
Well, guess they got it coming.
There are other bounty hunters on the same trail, including one played by Richard Harris, who has brought along his own pulp novelist to record his exploits. Harris doesn't reckon on running into a sheriff who is an old enemy, played here by Gene Hackman.
Well, actually, what I heard was that you fell off your horse, drunk, of course, and that you broke your bloody neck.
I heard that one myself, Bob. Hell, I even thought I was dead. Till I found out it was just that I was in Nebraska.
One of the movie's more chilling scenes has Hackman demonstrating to the pulp novelist, played by Saul Rubinek, that it's harder to kill a man than it seems.
Go on, point it. All you gotta do is pull the trigger, mister.
Here is a typical Eastwood moment, as other characters do most of the talking, and Eastwood squints and drinks and listens.
He said how he was really William Money out of Missouri, and little Bill said, same William Money that dynamited the Rock Island and Pacific in '69, killing women and children and all. And Ned said he'd done a lot worse than that.
Unforgiven is a great-looking Western filled with moments of quiet threat and risky face-downs between desperate men, and I enjoyed it on that level in the moment. Its story does not, however, build up much momentum or have a strong sweep that carries us from beginning to end. It's kind of a meandering picture that creates a world and gives us sharply edged moments in it, surrounded by a somewhat shapeless atmosphere. On the whole, I did enjoy it, but I thought it had a few too many characters and was less organized than it might have been.
That was precisely my reaction. Eastwood, you know, he's playing the strong, silent type, but boy, I thought this was a little too silent, and I thought that the picture really was overdrawn. And then I couldn't understand some of the characters, why they were stuffed in there. The Richard Harris character isn't really necessary at all. It could have been more of a showdown with Hackman and Eastwood. I wanted Eastwood's character to be enlarged, frankly. I thought he was sort of small within the picture. And great looking to be sure, but lifeless.
You know, when you mentioned the Harris character comes in and he brings the Saul Rubinek character with him, and then Hackman has to have a scene with the pulp novelist who is this Easterner who doesn't realize cowboys are for real, and that could have been another movie.
Yes.
But you could come out of this movie and not change a single thing about this film.
And Morgan Freeman's a wonderful actor, but I didn't think that character was anything special either. Okay, next movie, and our next film is a very bad movie called Mistress. It's a low-rent version of the same subject matter as Robert Altman's The Player, why the movie business often makes such bad films. But these movie makers, unlike The Player, are not high flyers. Mistress is about the grubby schleppers of Hollywood, a failed producer played by Martin Landau, who tries to launch an old script by an embittered young writer played by Robert Wool. Naturally, he wants him to make some changes as a Dumbo assistant looks on.
But I'm not entirely sure they'll go for a script about suicide. It's not about suicide. It's about an artist's courage. He's driven to kill himself. I won't change that. Naturally, I'm not asking you to change. That's an important element. I find it very moving. But maybe it could be handled a little differently.
For instance, does he have to kill himself? Couldn't he just leave town at the end?
Robert De Niro appears in Mistress because it was produced by his fledgling production company and written and directed by his old friend Barry Primus. But De Niro has a worthless role to play as a Vino film investor who wants to put his mistress into Robert Wuhl's movie.
I thought you wanted to do this movie because of...
Beverly, that's one reason. I need more than one. If I'm going to do the film, we're going to do it my way.
The input can be helpful.
Artie films are making money these days, but you need to appeal to an audience's basic motive for going to a movie.
To be entertained.
No, to be titillated. To go to the movies to be titillated, to see sex.
And De Niro isn't the only guy looking for a place to stash his broad. Danny Aiello plays another potential investor with a mistress for hire.
There's also another great woman's role, the model. She's a prostitute, but she's, anyhow, the painter paints her.
And then what?
And then she takes her money and leaves.
And how about one more dirty old man, yet another investor played by Eli Wallach. Talk about overkill.
There's a part in your script that she wants. What's the name of the part, Peggy?
Zoe?
Zoe.
Yeah, the girlfriend. She's so deep.
I suppose the not-so-subtle point of this picture is that the reason we get so many lousy movies is that the guys who make these pictures treat the movies like whores, using them as vehicles for private satisfaction and then throwing the movie-making away. There is no fidelity to art, no effort to understand the art form. It's a noble sentiment, but its execution in Mistress is so overdrawn and awkwardly played that I was really disappointed in the picture.
I liked it more than you did, and I think there are some scenes in this movie that are absolutely first-rate. I don't know why you're so far down on De Niro. His real cold, calculating speech to these guys about exactly what he will and won't do is terrific, and his scene with Cheryl Lee Ralph, his mistress, is another great scene, and the scene where he cuts everybody dead when he walks into the restaurant, that was a good scene. And the way that the script is constantly compromised and rewritten and changed to satisfy all of these different people who want to get a spoon into the soup is really revealing of the way this stuff goes on
Roger,
all the
didn't
time.
you think, first of all, you weren't surprised by anything that you saw?
We're professionals. We're supposed to know that stuff.
Yeah, but it's a very knowing film for professionals with references to the grand illusion and what movies could be. Here's my big problem with the picture. It is too much of a piece. We have three characters trotted out here, three guys using the movies as the vehicle for their bimbo, and basically I got the joke or the insight the first time.
Well, you see, that didn't bother me because it seemed to me that each of these guys, the joke is that each one is really basically trying to get his mistress into a movie, but he has a different strategy for presenting himself as if that isn't what he was doing. Apart from that, I would agree with you, the movie is a little bit too long. It has too many characters in it, too much dialogue that doesn't lead anywhere. It needed somebody to really get the script organized and pull it together. But there is some good stuff in it, and I think you're being way too hard on it.
Well, I think that the good stuff is small and introduced very early on, and then it becomes too much of a piece. Coming up next, Death Becomes Her, about the logical connection between plastic surgery and embalming.
I'm soaking wet.
And there seems to be something wrong with your,
straps and forces it into retreat. Drink that potion, and you'll never grow even 1 day older.
Isabella Rossellini is a scientific sorceress there in Death Becomes Her, with a magic potion that goes beyond plastic surgery and offering her rich Beverly Hills clients eternal youthfulness, but at a certain price. They will look great, but they'll be dead. It's a bargain that a fading movie queen played by Meryl Streep is only too willing to make, but before long she realizes what a terrible price she has to pay. She doesn't die no matter what happens to her, not even when her alcoholic husband, played by Bruce Willis, pushes her down the stairs.
Stay away from me!
You bet I will. Animal, psycho.
Don't come near me!
White pusher.
The movie co-stars Goldie Hawn as Streep's lifelong arch rival, who has also taken the potion and also has the embarrassing problem of not being able to die.
This is pointless. Wait a minute. This is ridiculous. We can't even hurt each other. We can't even inflict pain.
You know, it's a funny thing about this movie. It had all of the words, but none of the music. The ingredients were here for a lot of laughs, and occasionally I did indeed laugh, I guess, but in general, it seemed like the movie was lacking some sort of unpredictable spark or energy. Maybe the special effects upstaged the characters. Since I didn't really feel like I knew or cared about any of these people, I didn't react to the horrible things that were happening to them. It's like they were happening to dolls. In a sense, this movie is like the War of the Roses, in which unspeakable things happen to people who hate one another, but the War of the Roses made the hatred and the people into a reality. Death Becomes Her seems more like special effects in which the characters are never alive even before they take the magic potion.
That's exactly right. In fact, you went into passive voice and said things happen to these characters, rather than War of the Roses, a great film. We're dealing with active players.
That's right.
And the special effects do dominate. At the end of this picture, we see a great special effect where you see a hole in one of the characters' body.
Unbelievable how well that was done.
That's fabulous. And that's all you're looking at, because you don't care what's surrounding the hole.
That's right.
And the problem is it doesn't do anything with the fact that we have movie stars who want to look young. Well, we know that. Now, why not do a second or third rewrite, whatever it would have taken, an extra rewrite, to make these people do something?
I am sure that every single frame of this film probably had to be debated for hours and days in order to get it technically correct. And at the same time, they never really cared about the people. Coming up next, Enchanted April, the drama of a magical vacation in Italy taken by 4 mostly unhappy women.
You ought to have told me you were not doing the household bills.
I didn't know you thought I was.
That's very kind of you to say so. You're really quite lovely.
I hope you make the most of it.
Yes, I've been making the most of it ever since I can remember.
That's a scene from Enchanted April, and it's something quite wonderful. A warm and funny and romantic tale about 4 mostly unhappy English women coming together to rent a small castle in Italy for a month in the 1920s. Not only are their lives transformed, but so are the lives of their men. Miranda Richardson and Josie Lawrence play a couple of morose, put-upon housewives who try to talk a wealthy widow, played by Joan Plowright, into sharing the castle and their expenses. These women are out of their league when they meet her.
I remember spending a weekend with my father at Box Hill.
Who lived at Box Hill?
George Meredith, the novelist.
And they are also out of their league when they go after a more high-fashion woman to rent with them, an aristocratic femme fatale played by the striking Polly Walker.
I want to just sit and not talk and not think and not be the center of everything all the time. You know what that's like. No, I don't.
One wrinkle in the story is that Miranda Richardson's husband leads a double life as a writer, traveling in circles that bring him close to the enchanting Lady Caroline Dester.
You're going away, I hear.
Who's been talking?
Authors have ways.
Was it Mother?
My lips are sealed. She was talking.
I need to get away.
Where are you going?
If I told you, I wouldn't be getting away, would I?
I'm not going to a secret, is it?
And please don't try and find out, Gerald.
No, no.
Why don't you go home?
I just must have some time alone.
But they all join in, and once at the castle on the Italian Riviera, the ladies begin to realize what they are in for.
We were going to choose the nicest room for you.
Oh, I've already done that. At least I think it's the nicest.
You can think of these women characters, certainly the housewives, as sort of an early 20th century British version of Thelma and Louise, with different means of achieving the same independence. Enchanted April works in many other ways, too. There is more love than hate in this picture, and the Italian Riviera location is just fabulous. Enchanted April works as a travelogue, and I think it's going to trigger a lot of rentals of faraway summer homes. I certainly thought about that right after I saw the picture.
You know, the movie reminded me of a film that took place in the Greek Islands called High Season.
Yes.
And while it's probably not the most worthy motive to go to a movie so that you can voyeuristically go on vacation, I spent about half the time enjoying these people and their story, and about half the time wondering if I could find a travel agent who knew where that little castle was.
Yes, absolutely.
And that kind of fantasizing is fun when you go to a movie.
Well, but it's a tribute to the location, because I'll tell you another picture to where you would have wanted to rent from, and that was my mother's castle, that great double film. My father's Glory.
Yeah.
I mean, these pictures work on both of those levels. You wouldn't love that place so much if you hadn't loved the characters who were in it.
I wouldn't have enjoyed the movie so much if they had spent the month in a hotel somewhere. Coming up next, London Kills Me, another look at the seamy underbelly of London lowlife. And it's an odd little film about a 20-year-old Londoner named Clint who's been hanging out on the streets and selling dope. And when he gets badly beaten up one day, he decides to give up and get a job. It's just too hard not working. So he goes into a restaurant where he finds out that if you've never been in the world, London Kills Me is not a great movie. It marks the directorial debut of screenwriter and novelist Hanif Kureishi, but it doesn't have the emotional impact of the previous films he wrote, like My Beautiful Laundrette and Sammy and Rosie Get Laid. This is like the leftover research for those earlier films, but just on that level, I did enjoy it. It plays like a documentary of aimless lives, of hanging out and doing drugs and alternating between pain and boredom and feeling as if somehow you are an idle bystander at your own life.
Are you recommending it or not?
I'm recommending it.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm not.
Just for what it is.
Yeah, I'm not for exactly what it is, which is basically the film I saw. And you mentioned a picture that crossed my mind while I was seeing, and that was Drugstore Cowboy.
Much better film.
Much better film, and both about characters who I don't think either you or I would have a natural affinity for. But in one case, I care about the people, and I know that the milieu is really honest. And here, I thought there was quirkiness for the sake of quirkiness, and I really found nothing. I had no rapport with these people whatsoever.
I don't think so. You see, that's where I disagree with you. What do you think? That the community downstairs was quirky?
I thought. Well,
I believe that that's the sort of thing you might find downstairs in a boarding house of that nature.
I think that those.
Very much so.
I think that the meditation community does exist, does take place, but I thought it had about as much meaning to this picture as it had in The Last Detail, which was just a small, tiny slice of life.
I don't know what you mean about The Last Detail.
Well, there's a meditation scene in that, too.
Oh, well, fine.
For comic effect, just like in this picture.
I'm happy to learn that. And this was for comic effect, too, and if you like one, you ought to like the other. What I think of in terms of a bigger picture here is I did believe in these people. I believe there are people exactly like that, and that their lives are just about this aimless and this meaningless and this sad, and I was kind of touched by the fact that this kid was trying somehow to get a job and get out of this life.
Yeah, and I wasn't touched by it, and I thought I would have been and have been in similar pictures many, many times.
Okay, coming up next, our video pick of the week.
Inspired by Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven, my choice of a video rental selection this week is The Gray Fox, another Western about a veteran outlaw, this one a stagecoach robber played by the fine actor Richard Farnsworth. Released from jail after 33 years, he turns to robbing again, this time robbing a train.
Is that the money package?
I don't know, sir.
Well, what do you know?
A marvelous scene is when the old stagecoach robber looks at a newfangled invention, a movie, and studies the film The Great Train Robbery for a how-to guide. The Gray Fox may be hard to find, but it's certainly worth searching for. I strongly recommend renting it. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A split vote on Clint Eastwood's Western Unforgiven. We both thought it was great to look at, but I thought it was stuffed with unimportant characters and told at a much too slow pace. 2 thumbs down for Mistress, a comic look at the low-rent side of movie making. Roger didn't care for the picture, but enjoyed it certainly more than I did. 2 more thumbs down for Death Becomes Her, a case of fabulous special effects, dwarfing underwritten characters played by Goldie Hawn, Meryl Streep, and Bruce Willis. 2 thumbs up, however, for the summer vacation romance, Enchanted April. If you can't afford a week in a castle in Italy, how about a ticket to this fine picture? And finally, a split vote on London Kills Me, a street character story that didn't interest me. Roger, however, did get involved in the character. So the one that I like the best is the little tiny summer vacation picture, Enchanted April.
That was a nice picture, and I think that despite its flaws, the Clint Eastwood picture is certainly worth seeing. That's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back with a special show in which we praise black and white movies and even go so far as to argue they may be better than color films. We shot the whole show in black and white, and we call it Hail, Hail, Black and White. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Brute. It captures everything that makes a man in one great scent. Brute, the essence of man. Rice-A-Roni. Any day of the week, the flavor can't be beat. Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. X-Lax offers a gentle alternative. Extra gentle pills for regular people who sometimes aren't. Use only as directed. Sundance, made with pure fruit juice and sparkling water. No sugar added. Sundance, a natural refreshment for the whole family.
On this week's sneak previews.
money out of Missouri. Killed women and children.
That's right. I've killed women and children. Killed just about everything that walks or crawled at one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, little Bill. For what you did to Ned. Boys better move away.
All right, gentlemen. He's got one barrel left. When he fires that, take out your pistols and shoot him down like the mangy scoundrel he is.
That, of course, was Gene Hackman as the town sheriff trying to save his own life and face down hired killer Clint Eastwood. It's in a pivotal scene from the long-awaited new Western, Unforgiven, one of 6 movies we'll be reviewing this week on Sneak Previews. I'm Jeffrey Lyons.
And I'm Michael Medved. And in Unforgiven, prostitutes in a tiny western town offer a bounty for anybody who will kill the cowboy who's mutilated one of them. And a number of gunslingers show up because they want to collect the money. But tough Sheriff Gene Hackman is determined to run these hired guns out of town, especially a legendary British dandy played by Richard Harris.
Boys, this here's English Bob. Been a long time, Bob. Did you run out of Chinamen?
Bill. Well, I thought you was, but I thought that you were dead. I see you shaved your chin whiskers off.
I was tasting the soup 2 hours after it ended.
Well, actually, what I heard was that you fell off your horse, drunk, of course, and that you broke your bloody neck.
I heard that one myself, Bob. Hell, I even thought I was dead. Till I found out it was just that I was in Nebraska. Who's your friend?
W.W. Beauchamp. This is Little Bill Daggett. And friends, of course.
Daggett. From Newton, Hayes, from Abilene. In person.
Clint Eastwood, who also directed and produced this epic, plays a one-time killer and outlaw who's reformed and has lived for a decade as a poor farmer. But now he's desperate to feed his children, and he comes to the town of Whiskey Bend hoping to collect the bounty. But Sheriff Gene Hackman definitely has other plans.
Come on. What's this for, snakes and such? Yeah. We don't have any snakes in here, Mr. Henderson.
But they do have one tough sheriff who captures Morgan Freeman, Eastwood's old pal who rode along on his deadly errand hoping to share in the money. Now, Hackman threatens to continue torturing Freeman until he tells him where Eastwood is hiding. Just watch the way these 2 fine performers show brutality and pain with great acting, but without graphic gore.
I'm gonna hurt you. Not gentle like before, but bad.
I really wanted to like this movie, Michael. I grew up watching Westerns. I was known as Tex until I was about 7. Yes, I carried 2 guns. Tex Ritter and Hopalong Cassidy were my heroes. They don't make Westerns anymore. Why? Because of pictures like this, I think. Self-important movies with the dialogue which is mumbled. There's nobody to like here. The violence is graphic, but it almost revels in that. And there's no, in the end, you don't care about any of the characters.
Actually, I cared about them very deeply. You're right, they're not likable. This is not a Hopalong Cassidy Western. It's not a simple good versus evil story. It's not a simple shoot-'em-up. It's a complex, morally ambiguous drama, but it's fascinating because it's full of interesting characters, each of whom are mixed, and it's about something. And what it's about is hinted by the title, Unforgiven. Clint Eastwood's character is basically a horrible person who tries to be a good man and tries to straighten out his life and then is drawn back into this evil from his past. And the way that evil is presented in this film, the way they show the horror of killing and the immediacy of it, hit me with greater force than any Western I can remember. I think it's a very powerful film.
You said horror, evil, and Unforgiven. This doesn't sound like any kind of commercial for the movie for people who want to see this movie.
No, it's not a fun Western.
Exactly.
It's a dark, serious
now,
movie.
It could have been interesting. Richard Harris is a very interesting character, but he turns
up very briefly. He's underused here, just as he was in Patriot Games earlier this year. And the movie is visually ambiguous. The interior shots look very authentic to me. They look like the dark, Old West, bad lighting. But outside, that standoff that we saw looks like a stop on the Universal Tour. It looks so phony and staged.
To me, it didn't at all. I thought it's a beautifully shot film. I mean, I think Eastwood as a director is getting better and better each movie.